Teen applying to college learns a chilling secret about his family. JJ had big dreams of going to college after graduating high school. Just like any eager student, he immediately started filling out college applications, eager to pursue his passions at a four-year university. However, as he was applying, he stumbled across some chilling information about his family that completely upended his life. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Everything started with JJ Mangina's college applications. When he punched his social security number into an online portal, the number bizarrely didn't register. This didn't make any sense, although the answer would soon become shockingly clear. JJ contacted the school and examined his dilemma, which the school counselor agreed was incredibly peculiar. With the counselor helping to dig around a bit, he made a massive revelation. The 18-year-old high school graduate eventually found his true social on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children database. He had some serious questions. The FBI was immediately notified about the events, the department handling missing persons cases of all kinds, and they were licking their lips when they received the call about JJ. Now it was time to act. The FBI did some research, and agents soon uncovered that JJ Mangina was, in fact, living a lie. Their research indicated that he was a missing person. For answers, he needed to look to a small home in Alabama. There, he would see the precious face of Julian Hernandez, who lived with his mother in Birmingham for most of his childhood. His parents were separated, but he still spent time with his father, which landed him in trouble. Bobby Hernandez thought the world of little Julian. Despite the troubles he had with his son's mother, Bobby frequently saw Julian and often accompanied him to preschool. However, one day in 2002, Bobby made a grave decision. Like any other day, Bobby arrived at school ready to scoop up Julian. However, instead of doing what Julian's mother expected her ex to do, Bobby packed Julian's blanket and plush whale doll, and the two disappeared. It took several hours for Julian's mother to suspect any foul play occurred, but when her son never returned home, she phoned the police. Immediately, posters were put up alerting the community to the incident. Bobby never in his life showed any signs he was capable of kidnapping his own son. Sure, he loved him more than life itself, but he wasn't a felon, or at least that's what Julian's mom thought. Julian, on the other hand, was only 5 years old at the time, and he had no clue what his father did. For years, he lived his life under an assumed name. But the house of cards eventually toppled. As it turned out, JJ Mangina was little Julian Hernandez, thanks to a fake driver's license Bobby acquired. When his father picked him up 13 years earlier in Alabama, the two fled to Cleveland and started over. In 2015, the situation was complicated. Lieutenant Johnny Evans, a Birmingham police officer involved, said, "I've been doing this 25 years, and it's something I've never experienced before. We spent tireless hours doing everything we could to try and find him." Bobby had to be arrested. Bobby was immediately arrested and charged with kidnapping, custody interference, tampering with records, and forgery. Even though Julian appeared to be thriving at the time of his discovery, harsh words were issued regarding Bobby's persona. According to Julian's grandmother, his father was angry, controlling, and vengeful. Bobby Hernandez kidnapped him because he wanted to get even with Julian's mother for leaving him. That's not the sign of a good father. Julian's mother shared her own pain. In an emotional statement issued by Julian's mother, she wrote, "During my darkest moments, I considered suicide. I wanted to die." It also stated she refused to give up the search for as long as she was alive. Julian was put in an impossible situation. He surprised the courtroom when he said about his father, "Even if other people can't, I forgive him for what he's done. I love him and I want him to be part of my life." After all, he just knew him as dad. Even though Julian pushed for his father to remain a free man, Bobby broke multiple laws and was sent to prison for 4 years after reaching a plea deal. There's no telling if he and his son will ever reconnect. It's normal for kids to put their parents on a pedestal, but like in JJ's case, as an adult, you can learn something about the past that changes everything you thought you knew. Luckily, JJ learned another college student shared a similar experience, only she learned the ugly truth in front of her entire class. In February 2018, 19-year-old Anya Hettich, a student at the California State University in San Bernardino, was sitting in biology class when she found herself the audience to something she wasn't remotely prepared for. Sure, science class can be exciting. Students are given the opportunities to perform hands-on procedures that show them the wonders of all living organisms. How could it not be? However much fun these classes might be, they're certainly not known for their interpersonal drama. Of course, students like Anya are prepared for some physical danger, like getting burned by the Bunsen burner, but no one expects the heartbreak of deep, dark secrets revealed. Initially, the subject matter seemed rather boring to Anya and the other students, especially since the class started at 8 a.m. Yet the lesson of the day had them all discussing blood types, and nobody predicted the turn of events that followed. The class was learning about Punnett squares, simple diagrams named after pioneering geneticist Reginald Punnett. They're used to help predict which genes may be passed from one organism to another. As part of the lesson, the students in Anya's biology class were discussing comparisons of their blood types, as these are genetically inherited traits to that of their parents. This caused some concern for one of Anya's classmates. This particular woman discovered something that seemed like it must have been a mistake. Her mother's blood type was A, and her father's blood type was O. This meant that her AB blood type should have been impossible. What followed was so dramatic that Anya couldn't help but write about it on Twitter. My professor explained that it's impossible, that she's confused on the blood types or something. She even drew out the different Punnett squares to show her. The professor was right. People with type A blood can only pass on the A blood type to their children. The same goes with type B. However, while people with type AB blood can pass on to type A and B, type O can pass neither. In other words, since blood type O comes from a recessive gene, it was scientifically impossible for this young woman to have type AB blood if neither her mother nor father carried blood type B. Clearly, something was off, but she assumed the professor filled out her Punnett square incorrectly. The girl was persistent that she wasn't wrong on the blood types and was confident that there was something wrong with how the professor was doing it. The professor didn't want to make the student any more uncomfortable. Could you imagine trying to move forward with your lesson plan after a student revealed to the whole class that the man she called her father was not who she thought he was? Ultimately, the professor told the student to talk to her parents to double-check the blood types and make sure the information was correct. It wasn't long before Anya's classmate returned with shocking news. Anya was bewildered, so one could only imagine how her classmate must have felt. Her mom had an affair with her husband's brother, who's her stepbrother, Anya tweeted. So technically, Anya continued, she's been raised by her uncle and not her dad her entire life. Her mom hid it from both the men for 20 years. This had all the makings of made-for-television movie. That's right, thanks to what should have been a simple class study, a young woman's world was shattered. Because my professor told her she was wrong with the blood types, she figured out her uncle was actually her dad and vice versa, Anya reiterated. Anya wrapped up her classmate's story with a somewhat predictable, yet no less heartbreaking conclusion. The young woman's mother and the man whom she thought was her biological father were getting divorced. Since the story was told secondhand, it's impossible to determine the details of what happened when her classmate confronted her parents with this information. One could only guess that it was a difficult pill to swallow. Well, you can't blame this young woman's parents for making the surprisingly quick yet painful decision to get a divorce. That doesn't make the outcome any less heartbreaking.